Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release, hopping from system to system all over the world to see and play everything. These are the video games released in the beginning of November 1982.
The powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law.
And our very next release is on the Tomy Tutor. And I can't stress this enough, this computer technically doesn't exist yet. This is the North American version of the Pyuta. So this is really the third game we've played on the Pyuta in Japan. This is Night Flight. Let's check out and play some Night Flight. Here's the box. Ah, yes. The game system computer slash 16-bit graphic computer that was made or designed for children, but yet we're playing arcade-style games on this. And this one, I have no idea what to expect from Night Flight. When you look at the front of this box, it looks like we are a drunk pilot navigating through the skies. Maybe we're going to do a shoot-em-up, something like that. But very cartoonish artwork. But if you look down the bottom right, look, there's the screenshot. It tells you more about what the game is going to be like. At least a little preview of it. The only other games we played so far on the Pyuta have been Marine Adventure and Frogger. This is our third. Flip it over on the back, and you can see more screenshots explaining how the game works, and that kind of gives you a preview of what we're in for with Night Flight. Very, very exciting. That's pretty much all we got. As far as artwork goes, we got the box, and then we got a screenshot, and that's about it. Let's pop it and play some Night Flight. This is by Tomy, the beginning of November 1982. This could also be known as Yakan Hikyo. Oh, it's a computer. Press any key. Let's go. I'm ready. Now, every game we boot up on the Pyuta, you select if it's a cartridge, and then we popped in the cartridge. We go to cartridge. We don't have to go to basic, and then we're in. The game begins with an attract mode, like an arcade-style game, and we can pick 1 or 2 players. This is the 9th game that we've seen by Tomy. And that includes handhelds, too. Every system we've seen by Tomy. If we do a 2-player game, you will take turns, hot seat style. I'm going to go 1 player, and then you can do amateur or pro. Let's go pro. We're probably going to die really fast. Oh, gosh. There he was, the lightning god. Coming after us. So if you're a little confused of how the game is working, I am essentially drawing on the screen a grid or trying to capture as much of the screen as possible. That's right, it's another grid capture game. It is the 22nd game we played that's grid capture style. Yes, Pal Puck, that's right. And do you realize how rare that is to get a game that's like that? And listen to the tunes. We're getting a constant music playing while we're playing the game. This is very, very difficult, though, because if you are part of the grid and you come in contact with a lightning bolt or that shooting star that came down, then you will die. And no, it's not really side-scrolling kicks. I'm all on the same screen. I can't go any further past here. I'll probably die, though, going this far, but you can see it's all taking place right here on one screen. One of the most popular grid capture style games has been Amadar, and we've seen that one on the NEC PC 6001 and officially on the Atari VCS up to this point, but this is not like Amadar. Other grid style capture games have been Time Runner, Kid Grid, Tank Trap, Jeepers Creepers, and all those games are very similar to Amadar. This is based on Kix in the arcade, QIX, and we haven't seen an official Kix come home, so this is the very first time anyone could play something that was like Kix. This is very, very good, very well done, too, as far as taking that inspiration. And on Pro version, it doesn't seem like that much of a challenge, at least right now. And if you look down at the bottom right, my shoulder's kind of covering it. It's telling us how much percentage we have left to do on the screen. The lightning bolt here is being really easy for us. It's not that big of a skill level, but we do have a joystick we can use on the Pyuta, and it works pretty good. But I have to work my way around now the other side, because if I try to go to the right where that lightning bolt is, I'm going to be taken out. The other thing to notice, when I first died, there is a quick cutscene. While you're in the cutscene, I was told that I can control my plane and catch myself from falling and save myself. But every time I go to the cutscene after I die, I have no control. It seems like the cutscene randomly might catch myself when I'm falling, and maybe I won't catch myself. No, the buttons on the joystick do nothing. So whenever I'm playing, I am at the same speed as I move around. There's not like a fast or speed up. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. But you can see that even if the lightning bolt comes in contact with my, there's the cutscene. So it's random. I've tried moving the joystick, wiggling, everything I could try to do, but it's just if you might catch the player as he falls down. Maybe you'll get a redemption and come back in. Maybe you won't. Oh, but that lightning god, scary. So make sure the lightning bolt does not touch any part of the grid as you're drawing it. I know, based on the artwork too, mainly, I was thinking something like I'm going to do a bombing run on the plane, but no, it's kicks. This is so rare to get a kicks-like game at home. The only other one we played here on the show was Arex on the TRS-80. So completely, the shooting star goddess. So this means there is official kicks in the arcade, there's Arex, and there's this. Unless someone has a secret kicks game that we haven't found on the show. But that shows you how rare this is. And the presentation for this as a home computer game is very well done. Music going while you're playing the game. If you enjoyed this kind of puzzle-style game or grid capture game that Kicks has, it's very rare to be able to get anything close to this at home. Alright, I gotta work my way around away from that lightning bolt. See? He's trying to get me. But once you clear enough percentage of the screen, then you move on to the next screen. And it does get progressively faster, harder, more lightning bolts, things in the sky. It just continues to pile upon itself. But I'm just amazed I'm playing Kicks at home. Yeah, Psychosis has already thrown out a 3.5 star of all the games you could play right now on all home computers. This is impressive. For a computer that's designed or marketed for kids, this is very, very good. And refreshing. We are going to see this game later on something called the MSX. I'll just pretend I have no idea what Microsoft's computer in Japan is going to be, but it will be on that later. All right, looking good there. Yeah, it's relaxing, and it is not as fast-paced as the arcade. Notice whenever I complete a section, it waits for a sec, thinks about it, and then does the slow draw-in. That's the only thing that I could point out is, oh, get it. I still don't think I can. I have no control over saving myself. You could randomly catch yourself, though, if you get a chance to. We last saw Kicks in the arcade in October 1981, so it's been that long since we've had anything that we could play up to this point. We're not going to be able to see any other levels. There is other levels, but there's not any variations. They're just amateur and pro, like we've seen with everything else on the Tomy Tutor. As far as like amount of games you could play or types of games you can play, it's still good. That is very, very well done for all the games up to this point. Looking in the chat, I see mostly 3.5s. Oh, maybe a 4 actually. 3 or 3.5 for all the games you could play. Since this is so new for something, and because of how well the presentation is, I actually am a fan of Kicks. I enjoyed it in the arcades. I gave it 5 stars, and here on a home computer, to be able to play something like this is still excellent. This is very, very good. I'm going to go 4 stars of all the games you could play up to this point for any home computer. Having music in the background, having a relaxing time playing the game, and there's no downside to this at this point. There's only 2 other examples of Kicks, the official one and then Eric. So it's just a rare gameplay experience, and so it's excellent. It's very, very good. All right, after that, let's press forward to see our next game. Coming up next, it's the Sinclair ZX81, and we're gonna play some Night Gunner. That sounds awesome. Let's take a look at the box. Night Gunner. Too cool. Yes. We're going to be shooting stuff in the sky on the ZX81, which means we just went from an extremely musical game to no sound whatsoever. I'm not expecting any sound from the ZX81. You flip it over on the back, you can see it's a cassette case. Ooh. Because video games were played on cassette here in November 1982. Yeah, pretty cool for the front of the cassette. And then if you look at the inside sleeve, we're going to be the rear gunner in the turret of a bomber aircraft under attack by enemy fighters. Survival depends on your skill to defend your plane as the enemy weaves about in the night sky. Rewards are high for a marksman gunner, but beware, the going gets tough as they press home their attack. So it shows us how to move our gun around. We're going to be using the cursor keys and then the Q button to fire. So there's our controls, and explains a little bit of the scoring there too. There's our cassette that we're going to pop into play, some Night Gunner, and I believe it had 2 different versions. Yeah, we have one version that was originally in the United Kingdom and then later in the United States on the Timex Sinclair 1000. Nice. We have other information too if you have the entire sleeve for the inside. This marks the 84th game we've played for the Sinclair ZX81 or Timex Sinclair 1000. We're kind of lumping them all together. Yeah, so this is a later release of the game than you would have had more information on the inside. Loading instructions, you can see cursor controls and explaining how the game works. And I think there's 2 different modes. They show about firing at the target, and there's also a bombing section as well. You can press the Z and X keys together to return to the title screen. And the more games you play, the faster the action gets. That's pretty much how most of the games are right now. Oh, that's right. That's a nice one, Psychosis Media. All right, so there is alternate versions. Let's just pop in and play some Night Gunner. This is by Digital Integration, published by them in the United Kingdom, and then later in the United States by SoftSync. In the beginning of November 1982. Digital Integration, this is the first game we've ever seen them do. SoftSync, we've seen them before. They published Mazogs is one great example in the United States. Oh, look at this intro. So a little bit of presentation for the ZX81, kind of rare, but pretty cool that we got that. All right, so let's see how we can get this to go. Press run to play. Okay. And it starts us again with no sound. Don't adjust your audio. We're not going to get anything. There's mission 1 as it scrolls across the sky. All right, yep, and it works. The cursor keys go. There's my shot. So I'm just supposed to aim my reticle and fire upon them. This is kind of interesting because most of the time when we see games like this, they're space combat games. It's like a straight up action space combat game. This is a flight. It's not going flight simulation. It's exactly what we've seen in space, but now we're doing it in with flight combat. So it's vehicular combat. It's really not flight simulation. It's more of just a straight shooter, and we're meant to be not in space, even though we got the dark background. We have lots of games that try the whole. Let's play this at night, so we don't have to put in any more graphics. The black background's an easy one. All right, yeah, same kind of game. Space battle. Yeah, space battle, that'd be a nicer way of putting this one. But this is all ASCII, like we have with lots of games on the ZX81. I almost skipped this computer entirely for the show because it still is considered kind of like a hobbyist computer. And now I'm exploring even more games that are definitely hobby computers. If you look in the backlog of all the games that we will be playing on the backlog, I've added more hobby computers. And this one's, compared to the other ones we got on there, like the Apple One, the ZX81 is a real computer. But this is how the game's played. You move the cursor keys around, you fire at your target, and there is another section. There's a bombing section that includes like a high and low level attack that you can do. You have limited ammunition. High-level runs involve intercepting shots before they hit you. If you're on the low level, there's a risk of hitting the ground or being hit by enemy fire. But we're probably not going to get that far. We're already at mission 5, and as the game goes on, I kept playing, and I only saw this first mode. I never saw the bombing mode. And even other examples of people that played this online, it's all the same screen we're seeing here. Mission 6, we keep going. Oh, yeah, and even the opponents fire back at you is a nice touch, too. We're going to keep seeing video games say it's being played at night so they can get away with the total black background. But I would still say, of all the games to play on home computers, any video game that's utilizing a joystick, a paddle, something that has that kind of interface sets it way above anything else, because the ZX81, I'm playing this only on the keyboard, and the keyboard of the ZX81 is the kind of chiclet style keyboard, almost like, I would say even more like a membrane keyboard. It's closer to a calculator. And so being able to maneuver with the cursor keys is just going to be very difficult. Yeah, James, I wouldn't say that it is working correctly, but you can see the frame rate of how I'm moving from place to place. Yeah, you're at membrane. Thanks, Curtis. It feels more like I could spill a drink over this keyboard and absolutely nothing would happen. Think of like a type a CNC keyboard. That would be a better way of describing it. Keyboard's not really, it's doing it too much justice. This does take place in World War II, even though it feels like we are in the middle of the vastness of space shooting everybody out. And you can see I'm going mission by mission. I haven't played past mission 10 to see if I can get to the bombing run, but there isn't a second section. It isn't just this, from what I've been told. And the way the controls are doesn't make it feel like I'm playing a spaceship, because when I want to go up, I move up on the cursor key. Usually when we play flight games or controlling a reticle from a turret of a plane, we're having to aim the plane using the reverse. You move up on the joystick to go down, and down on the joystick to go up. But this isn't near. It's complete absolute control. I just go up to go up and down to go down. Not anything from there. We are going to see other versions of it. So maybe the bombing section is going to be on those. We're going to have it later on this Sinclair's ZX Spectrum, and then also on something called the Amstrad CPC. I'll pretend I have no idea what that is, because Alan Michael Sugar is not even thinking about that computer right now. But we will see it on those computers in the future. So it is functional, it works, but there's not as the gameplay for this one's pretty simple. And maybe someone down in the comments can tell me if this version does not have the bombing mission. Maybe the other later ones will have it, but I didn't play it long enough to find out. So of all the games you can play right now across all home computers, I'm already seeing over in the chat, oh, look at that, mainly giving it 4 on the ZX81. Yeah, if this is all you had, the ZX81 would be a much higher. But as far as all the computers right now that are possible to play, home computers, the ZX81's on the lower end. No sound, black and white. A lot of the games are using ASCII characters. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I would say I'm actually with Brad in the chat. 2 is a game, 3 is a ZX81 game. Yeah, I would be the same way. So I'm going to say of all the games on all home computers, it's 2 stars. It's kind of bad when you think of all the other things you could be playing. There's other variations of games. There's so many great arcade ports that are out there. This one's pretty simple, but it is still fun to play, and it does respond. All right, after that, I love the ratings in the chat, though. Yeah, lots of good things. It's difficult to rate whenever you're basing this on all the home computers right now in November 1982. That's a lot of home computers. And as we move forward, computers are going to be king. The consoles, especially in North America, are going to kind of dwindle out a little bit temporarily, but the computers, we're going to be getting more and more, and I keep adding more and more in the backlog. Someone tell me to stop, please. All right, so let's press forward to see our next game. In November 1982, our next one is on the Apple II. This is Old Ironsides. Pleasantly surprising. Let's see the box for Old Ironsides by Jack Rice and Richard Hefter right there on the front. Look at that. The developers are blazoned on the box. I love it. Exciting encounters on the high seas for 2 players. So cool. This game is only available for the Apple II. It marks our 408th game we've played on the Apple II. That's a lot of games. Apple II computing is big, really big. So this one is awesome. For the concept and the idea, I'm really excited to show this one off. And the back of the box just shows more that we've seen by this company. They have Sticky Bear, Bop, and we've actually seen that one on the show. There's Old Ironsides and then some other ones. I think this is a later box because those other Sticky Bear ones, they're not available yet. Sorry for all those Sticky Bear fans out there. We want to see Old Ironsides. So this is by Optimum Resource. It's the 3rd game we've seen that they've done here on the show. The other 2 have just been the Sticky Bear Bop that's been available. So that's it. Here's the ad you would have seen in magazines. And I think this is a later one because this is distributed by Xerox Education Publications. And this is the first and only game I know that's distributed by this company, by Xerox, which is kind of weird. But the company that made this is going places. I mean, they're going to be doing some other educational games and then some other unique games later. But Old Ironsides is the first time we're going to get some action games. You can see they're showing the screenshot, and it looks really, really good. How does it play, though, is the question. We're going to be playing this on the 5 1/4 floppy disk on our Apple II. Yes. Oh, yeah, it's definitely old school. I don't know about elementary or middle school. All right, so this one has a few different versions. Yeah, we can see Xerox Educations had it re-released in 1983. The very first time you could play it is right here. Right now is the very first time. We're on the cutting edge of video games. Let's pop in and play Old Ironsides. This is by Jack Rice and Richard Hefter in the beginning of November 1982. So second game we've seen by these developers after Sticky Bear Bop. I think I've said Sticky Bear Bop too much. I want to see what the game really has, not Sticky Bear stuff. Right when you boot the game up, you look down at the bottom, you can see we've cracked the game to be able to play it. This is the only version I've seen anywhere online. If anyone has a legit copy without a crack, let me know. But you can choose keyboard or paddle. I have 2 paddles plugged in, and you have to have 2. Because if you don't have a person, there is no computer that's going to play with you. Are you ready? Set? Let's play Old Ironsides. Look at this. It is a naval simulate. It's not a naval simulation. It's a naval combat game where you and another person. I'm having to control both paddles at the same time here, but you and another person are competing against one another as 2 ships on the water. Look at this. On both sides of the screen, it displays your health, how many cannons you have, and basically the stats of what you have. But this is a 1v1 ship battling game. I can't believe that this exists. If you do end up leaving the screen, you can see one of the players is up there. But the top of the screen shows us the health of everybody. Uh-oh, we got him leaving. Let me bring him back. So this is the original red versus blue that you're seeing right here. Red ship versus blue ship. Whenever you fire on your paddle, it is, or the only button that's available on your paddle, it will automatically fire the cannons on the correct side. If you leave the battlefield, or the area like I am here, it will eventually time out and the other player will win. It should be coming back to the end now, if I can get him to come back. Oh, I know Psychosis Media, the Apple II was everywhere. Most people were getting them. I think the other player's going to time out. They've been out of the borders too long. But that's how the Apple got into most people to play from school. You were forced to play, so everyone loves the Apple. So this one is bare bones naval simulator, more of a vehicular combat game, but a very special, particular vehicular combat game. This is a naval combat game. And up to this point, we've played plenty of vehicular combat video games, but most of them have been tanks or other forms like ships, spaceships, I mean. This is sailing vessels from the 19th century, and you're going 1-to-1 against one another. This is very, very rare and unique for this time. You do have to have 2 people to play at the same time, which is kind of stinks, because if you don't have someone to play against, you're gonna have to do what I'm doing, which is trying to control 2 paddles at the same time to see if it works. Come on, go. Oh, it also is utilizing real physics, because whenever the wind is always going to go from south to north when you play. So if you're pointing south, your ship kind of just stops. It doesn't do anything. And so you have to use the wind for your advantage whenever you're playing against another friend. But this is it. What you're looking at here is the game. It is only 2 players at the same time to play. The controls are very, very stiff. Very, very, very slow to respond as far as the turning of your ship. But it's meant to kind of feel like you're actually moving a naval vessel across the sea. Look at this. But I love the smoke effects they have. Let's see, if I go south, watch the blue ship. See how it just stops. It doesn't go anywhere. And you need to be able to use the wind to help you get across. This is the very first time we've seen any game like this, even attempting this. There is nothing else out there that is a 1v1 naval combat game. We played other simulation games, but they're mostly, one person against another person. There was a game we played by Synapse Software that was Nautilus, which was a ship versus a submarine, but this is meant to be two people battling it out on the high seas. It's amazing. We've seen other games that feature ships and boats. Another game on the Atari home computer was Micro Sailing, which was more of a sailing racing game. And then River Rescue was a vehicular combat boat game, but it was more like a shoot 'em up. You just continued to scroll while you were on a boat. And we've also played like Mariner in the arcades that you're underwater as a submarine, but it played more like a shoot 'em up. This one's attempting to do 1v1 naval battle. Yeah, right? Yes, it was much more involved in real life, but this is a very admirable effort. I'm amazed that I'm playing this and that this exists. So cool. Making the setting around the 1800s. And what you see here, though, this could be anywhere. It's just, we could be using, is that the game? Oh, I can see on the left side the health going down of every time I smash into them. And we also have our powder kegs. That are displayed in the bottom of the screen, how many times you can fire before they start running out. Gosh. So the paddle control and the way that this is controlled, you also have to get used to it because it is responding as if you were controlling it relative to the position of the ship. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to. But a real-time game like this, I mean, look how beat up the other ship is. It's moving so slow. Yeah, very impressive. If you have two people, it would be a lot of fun. Because you would both want to learn how to play the game, and it would be a treat because it's something new and different. Look at this. All the sails are gone on the other ship. It's awesome. It's very difficult to play this by yourself using two paddles. Man, but to be able to play this with two people is awesome. Look at that, still going. All right, let me see if I can turn you the other way. He is, if you do go outside of the boundaries, you will eventually die. And the other player will win. Okay, that should do it. I think we can do it now. Look, it's slowly creeping. Yes, he's drifting. The other ship is drifting because it has no sails. It's going out of bounds. And then it sunk. And red goes to the victor. That is pretty cool. Was not expecting any game to be like that this soon. A straight-up naval combat game. It has a little bit of simulation, but enough simulation at this point to call it, this is like piloting or navigating a real ship. It does... give you, it is only available as multiplayer competitive only. You have to have a friend to really enjoy the game. So I would give it lower score because you can't do anything with it by yourself. You have to have a friend that can play. But aside from all the other strategy games that are out there that utilize naval simulation, this one is more of an action style game, which is a cool idea. Looking over in the chat, I see, 3.5s. I was actually going to say needing between 3.5 and 4 stars of all the games you could play across all home computers. I see most of the chat giving me 3.5s for everything up to this point. It's not average. It's definitely above average for 3.5. I don't know if I could go as high as 4 just because there's no other game modes, but you could tell they spent a lot of time and polish making sure the experience was very good, and it still would be fun to play. Yeah, right, Brian. If I could, I would do 3.75 too, but I'll still say 3.5. It's above average. It's a very, very good game, but the lack of game modes, and because when you jump in, that's all it is. It's just attacking one another and learning the mechanics of the ship, because there's more to it. There's nuance to the wind conditions, and then where you can fire, how you can fire, things like that. You'd have a lot of fun with another player. All right, so there's old Ironsides. Man, what more games are we going to discover and find? Because this was very refreshing and very interesting. All right, it's time to put the video game playing on pause. We are far from being done with all the video games in November 1982, and even in 1982 in general. What we usually do is play all the video games we can find the definite release date for, and we go through those in order. Right now, we're just in the beginning of November 1982. So these are all the releases that we knew that came out sometime in the beginning, and we're hitting them in alphabetical order. Then we start hitting the releases that we know at certain dates in November 1982. And then we just say they came out sometime in November 1982. We don't know when. One of those days of November 1982. And then we get to go to December. It's just going to be game after game. Lots more fun to be had. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, another game like Amadar. We are having a picnic, and we are paranoid. And finally, the first and only official port of this influential arcade game at home. That's it for today, and like I always say, you need to play these games any way you can. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.